Hello. And I am back to now read chapter 2, which is the first agreement. Before I get started, I just want to say that, I'm trying to keep it to like 30 minutes, and I know that that can be kind of long. So I'm going to, start doing some TikToks to do shorts, but I just feel like it's important to like dissect it. And, if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, you can always pause and come back to it later. Um, and then I also wanted to say, when I first started reading this book, I said, I'm not looking at this book as a religious or a spiritual book. Are there elements of that in here, talking about God and spirituality, whatever it means to you? But that is not the lens of where I'm going with this book. I think that every human on earth can relate to this book and you can get a lot out of it. Um, go look at the reviews and you can see what people are saying about it. But for me, it's just so many aha moments and revelations where as you read it, you start feeling like, wow, this isn't, or this wasn't my agreement. This was the agreement maybe that was set for me. And now I'm living in my agreement. So, as I read, if there are things that you're like, oh, I don't know if I believe this, or, take it in the spirit for where you are at in your own life and in your own journey. All right, so now I'm going to begin. So the first agreement is called Be Impeccable with Your Word. So maybe write that down. All right, the first agreement is the most important one and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds very simple, but it is very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God." Through the word, you express your creative power. It is through the word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the word. The word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. You can speak. What other animal on the planet can speak? Now, I know if you're a dog lover like me, you're going to say dogs. The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth. Depending upon how it is used, the word can set you free or it can enslave you even more than you know. All the magic you possess is based on your word. Your word is pure magic, and misuse of your word is black magic. Now, it starts talking about black magic a lot. And so, just kind of go with it and interpret it as you will. Again, I don't want this to be where, it's meant to look at it from many different lenses. And, bottom line is when I look at this on a psychological aspect, I think, how many times has somebody said something to me? I give you my word. Or, you can trust me. My word is as good as gold. And really, it wasn't. Or maybe how many times have you said, I give you my word, and you weren't always truthful? So I think it's really important just to kind of take this in, and maybe it'll change your perspective of how you talk to people and the promises that you make. Here's where it gets a little bit like deep. So the word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. Some years ago, one man in Germany, where are we going with this? By the use of the word, manipulated a whole country of the most intelligent people. He led them into a world war with just the power of his word. He convinced others to commit the most atrocious acts of violence. He activated people's fear with the word, and like a big explosion, there was killing and war all around the world. All over the world, humans destroyed other humans because they were afraid of each other. Hitler's word, based on fear-generated beliefs and agreements, will be remembered for centuries. Now, it's funny, I bring this to a different aspect because I teach psychology, and there was a study done by Stanley Milgram based on, you know, Hitler. And it was a powerful, what's the word I'm looking for? It was a powerful experiment um, on human conditioning and how just one person can influence so many. And just when you think, oh no, I can't be manipulated, or I can't, no one can convince me to do anything, he set out to do this experiment, and it showed that even people in America would do the same thing, or would change, not honor their own words. So if you're ever interested in that and you haven't heard of the Stanley Milgram study, check it out. It's good. All right, so the human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. The seeds are opinions, ideas, and concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. The word is like a seed, and the human mind is so fertile. The only problem is that too often it is fertile for the seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only for those kinds of seeds it is prepared for. What is important is to see which kind of seeds our mind is fertile for and to prepare it to receive the seeds of love. Take the example of Hitler. He sent out all those seeds of fear, and they grew very strong and beautifully achieved massive destruction. Seeing the awesome power of the word, we must understand what power comes out of our mouth. Okay. Seeing the awesome power of the word, we must understand what power comes out of our mouths. One fear of doubt planted in our mind can create an endless drama of events. One word is like a spell, and humans use the word like black magicians, thoughtlessly putting spells on each other. I mean, honestly, think about it. Your word carries so much weight, and I don't think as human beings we really pay attention to that a lot. So I think it's really important to stop yourself every time you have a thought or a word before it comes out and ask, okay, is this going to hurt or help? Okay, every human is a magician, and we can either put a spell on someone with our word, or we can release someone from a spell. We cast spells all the time with our opinions. Now, mind you, as I'm saying this, I don't want it to come out like, like black magic and spells and all of that. It's talking about how our words carry power. And, he's speaking to me in like metaphors, but whatever. All right, an example. I see a friend and give him an opinion that just popped into my mind. I say, I see that kind of color in your face in people who are going to get cancer. If he listens to the word and if he agrees, he will have cancer in less than 1 year. That is the power of the word. I can go all into that on a medical standpoint, but I'm not going to. All right. During our domestication, our parents and siblings gave their opinions about us without even thinking. This is where it's going to start getting maybe a little personal and where it might grab you some. All right. We believed these opinions and we lived in fear over these opinions, like not being good at swimming or sports or writing. Someone gives an opinion and says, look, this girl is ugly. The girl listens, believes she is ugly, and grows up with the idea that she is ugly. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is, as long as she has that agreement, she will believe that she is ugly. That is the spell she is under. By hooking our attention, the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or worse. Another example, you may believe you are stupid, and you may have believed this for so long as you can remember. This agreement can be very tricky, causing you to do a lot of things just to ensure that you are stupid. Now, I know you could be sitting back saying, well, that sounds stupid, but we do it. And we do it all the time. And I know that because I have so many clients with these, same stories. You may do something and think to yourself, I wish I were smart, but I must be stupid or I wouldn't have done that. The mind goes in hundreds of different directions, and we could spend days getting hooked by just that one belief in our own stupidity. Then one day, someone hooks your attention and using the word lets you know that you are not stupid. You believe what the person says and make a new agreement. As a result, you no longer feel or act stupid. A whole spell is broken just by the power of the word. Conversely, if you believe you are stupid and someone hooks your attention and says, yes, you are really the most stupid person I've ever met, the agreement will be reinforced and become even stronger. I want you to pause and think about that. Think about things that people have said about you and how that's reinforced what you've said about yourself. And it's so important not believe what people say. If people say good things about you, it's not about that. It's about believing what your inner voice tells you, right? If your inner voice is feeling weak, then it's going to tell you they're going to tell you things like you are stupid or you are ugly, and you're going to believe that, right? And then when someone comes along and says, but no, you're beautiful, no, you're this, you're not going to believe that, right? Because you're going to believe what you've told yourself. And the crazy part is that you really didn't probably tell yourself that. It started from something a while back that caused you to believe that agreement. So just kind of think about that. All right, now let us see what the word impeccably means. All right, impeccably means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. The im in impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religions talk about sin and sinners, but let's understand what it really means to sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Everything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything. Being without sin is exactly the opposite. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self-rejection is the biggest sin that you can commit. In religious terms, self-rejection is a mortal sin, which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life. So again, it's all going to be in the frame of reference that you're looking at. All right. Being impeccable with your word is not using the word against yourself. If I see you in the street and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the word against you, but really I'm using my word against myself, because you're going to hate me for this, and your hating me is not good for me. Therefore, if I get angry with my word, with my word, send all that emotional poison to you, I'm using the word against myself. Think about that. When you say negative things to people, that's the reason I tell my clients all the time. When people are saying nasty things to you, or they're, they're being mean to you or they've hurt you, they're really not hurting you. I know it may feel that way, but it's not about you. It's really about them, and they're really hurting themselves because in that, it may seem like, oh, I feel better about myself because I'm tearing you down. No, it's not. It just appears that way to you. So maybe just kind of like sit on that one for a moment. All right. If I love myself, I will express that love in my interactions with you, and then I am being impeccable with the word because that action will produce a like reaction. If I love you, then you love me. If I insult you, you insult me. If I have gratitude for you, you will have gratitude for me. If I'm selfish with you, you will be selfish with me. If I use the word to put a spell on you, you are going to put a spell on me. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your word, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because you have learned to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others, and more importantly, with ourselves. We are not impeccable with the word. Listen, this is good. It's really good stuff. And you may be hearing me say this and stopping and giving my opinion, but when you have this book in front of you and you're reading it for yourself, a lot of like, whoa, whoa, whoa happens. It really does. So, like, just continue the journey with me. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to curse, to blame, to find guilt, or destroy. Of course, we also use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly, we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. That is said a lot in here. And there's a theme and there's a reason. All right, the word is pure magic, the most powerful gift we have as humans, and we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge. We create chaos with the word. We use the word to create hate between different races, between different people, between families, between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and perpetuate the dream of hell. Misuse of the word is how we pull each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt. Because the word is the magic that humans possess and misuse of the word is black magic, we are using black magic all of the time without knowing that our word is magic at all. There was a woman, for example, who was intelligent and had a very good heart. She had a daughter whom she adored and loved very much. All right, I really want you to listen to this because as parents, this one can really slap you in the face and say, what the fuck? Excuse my language, but holy shit. Because I've read this and I felt guilt. I felt a little bit like, oh, did I do that? So just go with me. All right. One night she came home from a very bad day at work, tired, full of emotional tension, and with a terrible headache. She wanted peace and quiet, but her daughter was singing and jumping happily. The daughter was unaware of how her mother was feeling. She was in her own world, in her own dreams. She felt so wonderful, and she was jumping and singing louder and louder, expressing her joy and her love. She was singing so loud that it made her mother's headache even worse. And at a certain moment, the mother lost control. Angrily, she looked at her beautiful little girl and said, "Shut up! You have an ugly voice. Can you just shut up?" Now, mind you, I haven't said that, but I have done things similarly to that when I was stressed out or, I was kind of on my last nerve and it was just like it wouldn't stop. So I remember my own self, just like saying, just shut up. And, whatever I said, it wasn't that, but it's impactful. And you just don't know the power your word has to hurt someone and change the course of what they do, especially when you're molding them as children. All right, the truth is that the mother's tolerance for any noise was non existent. It was not that the little girl's voice was ugly, but the daughter believed what her mother said. And in that moment, she made an agreement with herself. After that, she no longer sang because she believed her voice was ugly and would bother anyone who heard it. She became shy at school, and if she was asked to sing, she refused. Even speaking to others became difficult for her. Everything changed in the little girl because of this new agreement. She believed she must repress her emotions in order to be accepted and loved. That's where Freud comes in. All right, whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement and it becomes part of our belief system. So think about it. This little girl who knew, right? Who knew and believed she had this voice. Her mother is just, she's stressed out and she says, "Shut up, your voice is ugly." Because of that agreement, right? Because of those words, that little girl made that agreement and said, "Oh, this adult said this to me. It must be true. Therefore, I am." And so I think it's super powerful to really stop yourself when you're about to say something and ask yourself, is this going to hurt or is it going to harm? And you know what? You're still going to do it from time to time, but it's important to check yourself. When you do that, then it's important to say, "You know what? I was wrong," and apologize for that. And then they don't have to adopt that agreement. All right, continuing. This little girl grew up, and even though she had a beautiful voice, she never sang again. She developed a whole complex from one spell. This spell was cast upon her by the one who loved her the most, her own mother. Her mother didn't notice what she did with her word. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her daughter. She didn't know the power of her word, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did what her own mother, father, and others had done to her in many ways. Many ways. They misused the word. So right there, doesn't that just tell you like your own parents had the influence on you for patience, for tolerance, for love, for hate, for whatever it is? So that's what it means when we have to break the cycle, break the spell. All right, how many times do we do this with our own children? We give them these types of opinions, and our children carry that black magic for years and years. People who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they do. That is why we must forgive them. They don't know what they do. Another example, you wake up in the morning feeling very happy. You feel so wonderful. You stay 1 or 2 hours in front of the mirror, making yourself beautiful. Well, one of your best friends says, "What has happened to you? You look so ugly." Now, I'm just going to say really quick, if your best friend is telling you like you're ugly, okay, to me, I'm like, all right, you may not look good one day, and your best friend, if it is your best friend, may say, "Oh, looking a little bit different. What's going on?" But I mean, to say that, I felt was just a little much, considering a best friend. All right, so look at the dress you are wearing. You look ridiculous. That's it. That is enough to put you all the way down in hell. Maybe this girlfriend just told you this to hurt you. And she did. She gave you an opinion with all the power of her word behind it. If you accept the opinion, it becomes an agreement now. And you put all your power into the opinion. That opinion becomes black magic. These types of spells are difficult to break. The only thing that can break a spell is to make a new agreement based on truth. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. On the other side of the sword are the lies which create black magic. And on the other side of the sword is the truth, which is the power to break the spell of black magic. Only the truth will set us free. All right. Now, that's not the end of this chapter, but that is where I'm going to stop for now, just so I don't go too overboard. And then I'm going to continue the rest of the chapter. There's not too much to go, but enough to where I want to stop right now. The point of, kind of this section was to expose the lie, right? To expose the agreement that we have adopted many times, which is the lie. It's not the truth. It's, it's the agreements that others have set for us. So I want to pause and stop there because I want you to just think about that and think about maybe how your word could have hurt someone, and think about maybe how someone has hurt you, and then we have to get to a place of forgiveness, right, so that we can be in agreement with our own word and our own truth. So I hope that you got a little something out of that, and I will be back for part two, right, of chapter three. I think it's three, right? Am I three? I think I'm in three. No, I'm in two. So I'll be back with part two of chapter two in the next video. So until then, love yourself most importantly, okay? Peace.